What's up, Fragrant World? Welcome back to another Stay Fresh production. My name is Justin Copeland. On this channel, Stay Fresh Productions, we talk about everything fragrance related. If you have an interest in fragrances or learning more about them or just conversing about them, you're in the right place. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Do the easiest thing you've done all day and join the Fresh Squad. Increase, elevate, improve, evolve, and enhance your freshness. Your freshness is you bringing your best self into every situation, treating others with respect, kindness, and understanding, carrying yourself with elegance and class. And we use fragrance as at least a starting place of that. You'll feel it, and others will smell it. Today we have a continuation. This is basically a part 2 to a video that I was not planning to do a part 2 for. And this is a video here. I did this back in the fall. I chose, I think it was 5 fragrance notes that work for the fall time, and I chose 6 fragrances for each of those notes that feature that note prominently. We did different spices, we did tobacco, we did leather and woods and things like that. I decided I want to keep this going. I want to take a slightly deeper dive into fragrance notes, give you some ideas of fragrances that may help to kind of build your palette if you're trying to get more acquainted with particular notes, or if you just happen to like these particular notes. These are fragrances that you can try that feature them, perhaps in ways that you haven't experienced before. Let's dive right into it. All right, our first note is the note of Oakmoss. And this is a totally random assortment of notes for this episode. Depending on how you guys like this video, we will continue with more notes moving forward, but just kind of choosing them at random. Oakmoss is our first note here, and this is kind of what it sounds like. It's a mossy note. It brings a woody quality. It is well known to be used in a lot of more traditional or mature or old school style fragrances, especially for men, bringing a warm, again, woody, mossy feel that just adds a lot of depth, as some people say, masculinity to a scent. So I chose 4 fragrances that feature Oakmoss pretty heavily, but in different ways. This first one up is a cheapie. It's also a classic. This came out, I think, in the mid 1980s, and this is called Giorgio for Men. You can get this thing so cheap these days. And does it smell like the 80s? Yes. This smells like rich dude closing the deal on the golf course. It has honey. There's a bit of a sweetness in here. It's very aromatic, kind of herbaceous, and very mossy. Almost brings this woody bitterness to the background. So just letting you know, this is not for everyone. You gotta like a more vintage taste to dig this stuff. This is kind of an everyday scent, but definitely old school. That is Giorgio for Men. From an indie brand called Rouge Perfumery. This was a gift from the Fresh fam, my people, over on Patreon. I'll have a link down below to my Patreon, but thank you guys. This was a gift, I think, for my birthday last year, so I appreciate you guys gifting this to me, and I honestly took some time to come around to it, and now I realize this is an incredible fragrance. This is called Mousse Illuminee. This is kind of in the realm of something like Polo Green, but much more rich. It is fresh, but it's very, very green, almost piney in a way, and very mossy. Lots of oak moss in here. I think lots of real oak moss in here. So this is the real deal, and this is a powerful beast. This stuff is so strong, especially for something on the fresher side of things. Very elegant, very classic smelling, kind of old world in a way, but if you want something super green and fresh and mossy that harks back to older fragrances, this is one to check out. Okay, this next fragrance from the house of Jovoy, Paris. One of my favorite houses that I need to get more from. I only have 2 fragrances from them, and I want to get more, and this is one of the 2. I wore this morning while I was working out. This stuff is incredible, and even more so than it is here on paper. It's a little flat here, but on skin, incredible stuff. This is called L'Art de la Guerre, which I'm saying terribly, but it means the art of war. And this is very aromatic and fresh, almost fruity in a way. There is a lot of rhubarb mixed with kind of a dry, earthy immortelle note, which is a floral note that's kind of dry and almost rustic in a way, but lots of leather in here and lots of oak moss. The oak moss in here, because it's mixed with things like rhubarb, which you don't see much, and there's definitely some lavender in here too, it gives it a different personality. It's definitely more modern. It's not quite as old world smelling, but still very strong in terms of personality, still very confident smelling, but a little bit more on the fresher side compared to Jovoy's offerings, something that would work just fine in the summertime. So more to come on this one. This was sent to me by my friends at Max Aroma. They have a fantastic catalog for niche and designer fragrances. They have some of the best prices around. If you're looking for discounts, I'm going to link them down below. You already know about them. You probably already shop from them. But just to get them on your radar, check out Max Aroma if you haven't already. That's where I got this one. Smells incredible. Up next, and finally for Oakmoss, we have a showstopper, and this is a fragrance that is not for everyone for many reasons, one of which is simply the price tag alone. Very, very expensive, but the scent itself is a strong personality. I'm just letting you know now from the house of Rouge Parfums, Diaghilev. Incredible showstopper fragrance based on a lot of civet cat, which is an animalic note, very dark and brash smelling, but mixed with a lot of fruits and florals, peach and maybe some white florals, and it's fruity and sweet, but surrounded by this earthy brashness and lots of Oakmoss in here. This is a Chypre, which is a classic style of perfumery, very old. It smells a little bit old world, but so complex, you gotta dress this one up. Incredible fragrance, eye-opening, head-turning, Rouge Parfums Diaghilev. Just sample it if you can. Now let's talk about the note of amber. And amber is a funny little note because it is technically a fantasy note. It is a combination of other ingredients that, when put together, create the amber accord. And the most typical way to create an amber accord, as we see in perfumery, is with vanilla, benzoin, and labdanum. Put those three things together, you get this warm, sweet, almost sticky, sometimes resinous element to a fragrance that is very intoxicating and very alluring and very grounding for a scent. And this first one up is coming from the house of Jacques Fat. This is called Bel Ambre. This was perfumed by Cécile Zarokian, one of my favorite perfumers. We're gonna see her again. And this is kind of more on the lighter side of amber. It is a very light profile. It's kind of transparent. It's not super dense and rich and strong. It's not something that's going to last a very long time. It's not something that's going to project a lot. It's going to create a beautiful bubble, kind of just like a light, almost aromatic, sweet warmth, but with a lot of, again, transparency. It lets a lot of daylight in. It's not going to choke people out. Something to wear when you don't want to be the center of attention, but you still want to smell very warm and inviting and sweet. This is a beautiful one for that. A little powdery too, but very nice. From the Swedish house of Niche for All, they do make inspired fragrances, basically clones of some very unusual niche fragrances. Some stuff you've heard of, some stuff you probably have not. And this is a clone of a Clive Christian fragrance that I cannot remember the name of. I'm going to put it here. And the fragrance here that they call is Amber Vetiver. This is beautiful. I haven't smelled the original. I'm pretty sure it's very expensive because it's Clive Christian. You can definitely get this a lot cheaper, and quality is fantastic. Performance is good if you're looking for that, because sometimes that can be hit or miss with clones, but it smells very nice and it lasts on the skin. This is a woody amber. This is a lot of papyrus. There's a dry quality here. There's a woody quality here, like I said, but there's still kind of this warm, slightly gooey sweetness that surrounds the scent. Very elegant, something to wear during the nighttime. Does not come off as overly complex. Pretty simple on my skin, doesn't change much, but smells great. Not gonna really offend anyone at all, but still kind of different. Niche for All, Amber Vetiver. For my friends over at Scotch Porter, we got to talk about probably one of their best sellers in terms of their fragrances. The only real true sweet and warm and playful fragrance that they have, and they do it in a great way. This is called Miami Duppy. Man, this is warm, sweet tonka bean and amber. It is sweet. As I said, it is warm, it's a little sticky, almost gooey, but there's a roasted quality, almost a little bit smoky, roasted chestnuts or something like that, but with the sweet vanilla style of warmth and groundedness that is very, very sexy, honestly. Something to wear on a night out. It's a little bit playful, a little bit casual, but still has a little bit of a mysterious quality that I think even a more mature person can pull off very easily. It's not like bubblegum in the club kind of thing. Very good stuff and not very expensive. Check out Scotch Porter. We have a little discount and all that good stuff down in the description. All right, another one from Cécile Zarokian, one of the newest releases from the house of Rouge that came out in 2021. This is her wheelhouse. This is her work at its highest level. This is beautiful stuff. And it's also quite different. This is called Material. Don't be fooled by the bottle style. This is their traditionally feminine bottle style, but this is a totally unisex fragrance. This is gooey, warm, sweet amber. Now, when you look at the breakdown, I don't believe you're gonna find amber, but you are gonna find labdanum and benzoin and vanilla in overdose. And this is real Madagascar vanilla, so it's the highest quality vanilla you can find. Mixed with a bit of a smoky quality from Gaiac wood, mixed with quite a bit of tonka bean, bringing an almost kind of sweet pruny vanilla vibe. That might sound weird, but that's what I get out of this. It doesn't smell all that edible, but it smells very inviting. Elegant, but also easy to wear for really any occasion as long as it's not too hot. That is Material from Oakmoss. And I hope you'll forgive me, we have 5 amber fragrances here. I could not leave this off. From Cartier, we have Pasha de Cartier. Now this is not primarily amber. There's a lot more going on than that. This is also sandalwood and liquor, like a boozy note that's dark. Resins as well, like balsam fir. But definitely a warm ambery quality to this scent, a touch of an aromatic nature, almost leaning fougere, similar to its predecessor, Pasha de Cartier from the early 90s, but modernized, made sweeter and warmer, and again, ambery, almost gooey, definitely boozy, very luxurious, but also kind of alluring and sexy, and a little bit mature. Very nice stuff for the fall and winter. That's Pasha de Cartier Parfum. All right, now we have the note of mint, a very refreshing, herbaceous green note that comes in different varieties and can give different facets to a fragrance. Some people say it smells like toothpaste, but it can also smell very leafy and herbaceous and authentic, and we'll see that here. This one is more on the kind of chewing gum side of things, but it's still very beautiful. This is called Herba Fresca from Guerlain, from the Acqua Allegoria line. Again, this is kind of like spearmint chewing gum, but so refreshing, uplifting, gonna put a smile on your face. Beautiful for the summertime. This is a happy delight in a bottle. This is such a bright personality, so minty. When you smell deeper into it, you do smell the authenticity of the mint. You smell that kind of green leafiness, but it is very, very minty, almost like you put a stick of gum in your mouth. I love this stuff. That's Herba Fresca. Up next, from the house of Burberry, at least out of the 4 I've chosen here, ironically enough, one of the most authentically minty fragrances here, even though this is not very expensive compared to the others I'll talk about. Oh my gosh, this is like straight up mint leaves from the ground with other things, and as it dries down it changes a bit, but this is called Mr. Burberry Indigo. The opening, if you love mint, if you love real mint, is remarkable. It's really, really nice. It's very authentic. This was perfumed by Francis Kirkjohn, so master perfumer here. As it dries, it kind of turns into Acqua di Gio on my skin, kind of this nondescript, woody freshness that's almost aquatic in a way, but smells really nice, easy to wear. I love that opening with the mint, which will last you a good, 10 to 20 minutes, not very long, but still in here, still very much at the forefront, smells great. That is Mr. Burberry Indigo. From Oakmoss, among a lot of other things going on in this fragrance, mint definitely defines this profile, and this is probably in my top 2 from the house of my favorites. Beach Hut, man, oh my goodness. Also very mossy, also very just green and woody. Lots of vetiver in here. A little bit of sweetness from myrrh, which is not a vanilla-like sweetness, more of a resinous, balsamic, kind of dark, sticky sweetness. But really just holding together all this green, fresh woodiness. Very intense, very intensely fresh and green. Incredible fragrance, very classy stuff. Gonna last all day. That is Oakmoss Beach Hut Man. All right, from the house of Creed, this fragrance is also based on a lot of other notes like lavender and citruses and sandalwood and patchouli and vetiver. But mint is definitely playing a big role here alongside very spicy pink pepper. This is Viking. Probably my favorite from the house. Very classy, has an invigorating quality with that mint, with that pink pepper. Very fresh, lots of citruses like lemon and bergamot. Dries very woody on the skin. Has a little bit of a sweet creaminess in there. Smells reminiscent of like a barbershop style fougere. Some people say it smells like tiger balm, maybe, or even Old Spice, kind of, but very high quality stuff, very classy stuff. A little bit mature, but I think still accessible for, the older soul, even if you're young. Love Creed Viking. Let's move on to the note of fig. Kind of an unusual fruity nuance, and this is what it can be. This is called Patchouli Figue from Rouge. Oh my gosh. This is intense, sweet, juicy. I cannot stress that enough. Juicy fig and pear working together, but the fig is definitely at the very face of the profile with a little bit of a chocolatey quality. I think there might be some kind of cacao or something in here that brings this dry chocolatey feeling to the scent that is so unusual but really turns the personality into something much more interesting than just fruits. You also have a lot of patchouli as per the name, bringing kind of this damp, earthy quality. You do have a little bit of light and dark happening here, but I love that kind of duality. And nothing smells like this. Very intense, quite sweet and fruity. That fig is in full force here. It smells beautiful. That is Patchouli Figue from Rouge. I think you can sample it for free from their website. Just pay for the cost of shipping. I'll have them linked down below. From the house of Molinard, you can generally find this one pretty inexpensive, especially for niche fragrances on the discounters here. And this is called Figue. It's in the name. This is much different from the previous one. This is not anywhere near as sweet and juicy. It is fruity, but it's almost like the fig is not ready to eat yet. It's not quite ripe. It's a little more green and woody, but there's still quite an intense freshness, maybe from some citruses as well. Almost mouth-watering, almost tart in a way, but definitely green and a little bit fruity, but not super sweet. Figue is really, really nice for the summer. Understated, not really gonna get a bunch of attention and garner a ton of compliments, but you're gonna smell super fresh, you're gonna smell very pleasant, and honestly a little bit different. Check it out. Up next is one of the most perfect summertime fig fragrances, mixed with lots of citruses, very mouth-watering and tart. Lots of pink pepper, making it a little spicy, almost a watery quality to the scent. From Acqua di Parma, Fico di Amalfi. This is perfect stuff. This is very summery. It is sweeter than Figue, but nowhere as sweet as Patchouli Figue. It's mostly tart citruses surrounding that fig note. And again, a bit of this watery quality that kind of just smells like the bottle looks. Really beautiful for the summertime. Not great performance, but not the worst. That is Fico di Amalfi. Okay, final fig fragrance coming from Diptyque, their hallmark fig fragrance. And this is beautiful stuff. This is an ode to the entire fig tree. You get the leaves and the branches, you get the wood like the trunk, you get the fruit itself. It's all here. It's very green, it's very fruity, it's woody, and the fig is there. This is called Filosicos, but you also get a little bit of coconut in here, which brings this tropical kind of milky quality to the scent that makes it perfect for kind of being out on the beach in the summertime. Fresh, green, woody, a little bit fruity, but not very sweet. That is Filosicos. This is the eau de toilette. They also have an eau de parfum, which will probably just last longer. I don't have it, but this one does me just fine. All right, our final note is the note of incense. And the first one we're gonna talk about here is coming from an Italian brand known as Pantheon Roma, and this is called Cosi Blue, which translates to so blue. And incense, if you are familiar, is a smoky, kind of resinous, enigmatic nuance to a fragrance that comes usually from a lot of resins and things being put together. There's no one single scent of incense. There's a lot of ways to create incense. It might remind you of church or some kind of meditative practice or prayer. It's a very introspective scent profile. It's a very calming scent profile, at least in my experience. And this is taking that resinous incense, very much like Catholic church vibes, but there's a freshness in here. Lots of resins, a little bit sweet, but definitely a little bit smoky, but not in a way where you feel like there's fire. It's not like that at all. It is simply beautiful. It is very calming. It's also very strong, so keep that in mind. This stuff is no slouch. It's an extrait. It will last all day on the skin. If you want incense on your skin all day, this is a great way to do it. That's Cosi Blue. All right, coming from the house of Isse Miyake, this is called Orançance, l'Odyssée Orançance, and this is incense and rose, maybe some labdanum in there, making it a little bit resinous, but it's mostly a lot of rose. Really kind of sweet, fresh, leaning jammy rose. There's a thickness in here, but definitely a little bit of that wispy incense. They blend so well together, I feel like the rose kind of overtakes a little bit, but you do have this kind of sticky, woody, dark warmth hovering in the background. We have another fragrance on here that uses rose and incense as well, but creates a different type of profile. But this one is really great, especially for the prices you can find it at discounters. For a designer fragrance, this is good stuff. That is Orançance. This next fragrance is coming from Oriza Legrand, a very old French house, and this is a special fragrance. This originally is called Relique d'Amour, and it was kind of rebottled as like a commission work for a perfume store in Spain called Equación Natural. They gave it a new name, calling it Oración, and this is Oración. Wow, this is a very transportive incense. This is going to take you to the center of like a chapel courtyard outside. So you're surrounded by stone. There's no ceiling. It's raining. There's like cobblestone. There's lilies in the earth, so there's this white floral quality that is kind of, it's fresh, and you do have incense burning in the distance, but it's overtaking things, but without being at the front. It's just surrounding everything. So different and very, very transportive. This is kind of a special occasion fragrance. I wouldn't wear this all the time. It's very situational, but if you want to be swept away, this is a great way to do it. And finally, a rose incense fragrance, my favorite release of 2021, in my opinion, the best. From Zaharoff, we have Signature Rosé. You look at the notes, you might think this is a rose oud, and it is, but lots more than that. Many different types of rose in here, some of the highest quality rose mixed with lots of incense. I think there's olibanum or frankincense or something like that. So there is this kind of resinous, smoky quality that is surrounding the rose, and you have vanilla in there, which almost gives it a chocolatey vibe as it actually mixes with the oud. So you have almost this chocolatey, woody quality underneath this wispy, intense, smoky rose, but not, again, fire. So elegant. As I've said, a fragrance for rose lovers and rose haters. Signature Rosé. Okay, now I'd love to know what you think. What is your favorite note? Or any of these 5 notes that we talked about, your favorite in perfumery? If you liked the video, please like the video. It really helps me so much with my visibility across YouTube. Once again, please join the Fresh Squad if you made it this far. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.